hanging in there. I know somebody else is trying to get in. I hope they can make it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I wouldn't have known if somebody had, if, I was just alerted that they are coming back online, so good to know.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like they are online though. It's just you and I. Maybe we're being recorded. I don't know.
Big Brother's watching.
Okay, great. I figured as much.
She heard you, Brett.
Yeah, isn't Big Brother always watching? Yeah.
We could to a liability lawsuit, and the whole entire meeting will become void and we have to do it again. That would boggle down government, not make it more efficient and streamlined. I understand all the reasons for it. It was a really cool deal during COVID's the reason we did that. We're not required by law to do that, but we did that just because of the emergency. We weren't aware of the risk at that time. Now we are aware of the risk. And so to avoid lawsuits, which it takes almost nothing to have a lawsuit against Bonner County, we want to keep that as limited as possible. Public comment?
So I'd like to give a comment. So I gave a recommendation that the board give a disclaimer on the Zoom link that says that if in the event of a technology issue, it to cover the county. I think that's reasonable and appropriate to do, to just give the disclaimer that it's not going to reset something. If we made decisions based on somebody might sue us, we would cease to be a public institution. We owe our community the availability to participate. And if that availability comes with a risk, we must assess the risk. The proposal that I gave meets the unknown and verified risk of somebody suing because they did not hear. You could put a disclaimer on Zoom. I have a number of people that gave public comments regarding the accommodation to disabled, the elderly, to rural areas. In order to best represent the people of Bonner County, I do not feel that removing Zoom does that. Yes, you could stream it on YouTube. The two have agreed to continue that process, but that doesn't allow active participation. And so for an area like Blanchard that is very far away from the county seat, those persons have utilized Zoom to actively participate. And I view the decision to not allow that by providing also an advisory statement on the link is not appropriately representing Bonner County for a stated fear of an unknown risk. When every day, why not let anybody come to the county building? Because you might slip in the parking lot. It's icy. Don't come. There's a greater risk of one of you slipping outside. It's not acceptable in my opinion, and I don't think it's accurate representation. I have the requirement to read public comment that has been sent to me. So Amy Anderson is not in support of removing Zoom. And I'm just going to list the names because we don't want it to go on too long. And essentially, I think this board realizes that the community is not in support of this decision. Amy Anderson, Bobby Franklin, Cynthia Dalsing, Gabrielle Dubendorfer, George Gehrig, Jean Girth, Judy Butler, Linda Larson, Mary Tolan, Nancy Foster, Pam Duquette, Rebecca Holland, Snowbrink, Susan Howard, Dave Bowman, but he can do his own thing, and Susan Drumheller sent in written statements to me specifically regarding the need to maintain Zoom with understanding the risks that were associated with that. So that is all I have to offer you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Aaron's.
We're missing the microphone for you, sir.
Thank you.
I know that there's a concern for lawsuits. Being one of them that's involved in a lawsuit. And spending a lot of money on that lawsuit. And I know, Luke, you've expressed a concern for lawsuits. As I've watched and listened, there's a saying that keeps coming back to me. And that is if you keep doing the same thing time and time again and expecting different results, it's a definition of insanity. And I think if we continue, you continue to do business without addressing huge public concerns, because it's a public that's suing you, then I think you're probably going to have to get used to people responding in a negative way. So that's all I have to say. You might want to seriously consider redoing things.
And a lot of those that
Thank
file
you,
suit
sir.
against the county don't
Thank
take
you.
into consideration that it's the citizens that's paying for the other side also.
Well, I'm paying for both of them, actually.
There are those exceptions.
That's right.
Dave Bowman for the record. So the person who's probably nibbled the most about not being able to hear is not Dan Rose, it's Dave Bowman. And it never occurred to me to try to sue the county for that. I don't consider that to be the county's problem. It does occur to me to sue the county for other things. This board, the past Board of Commissioners has never hesitated to take actions that would drag this county into a lawsuit being paid for by taxpayers. And I might point out, as Asia said, you could put a disclaimer on, go look at your own zoning map online, which you cannot, the zoning map, which is a legal document. Before you can look at it, you have to acknowledge that you cannot use that it may be inaccurate, it may be wrong, that you should not use it for any legal purpose, et cetera, et cetera. You could do the same thing with the Zoom meetings. This is, you have overwhelming support in the county for keeping this going. That was absolutely clearly obvious today, has been obvious in the past, and doing away with you are not working for the people if you do away with Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Randy.
As somebody with 30 years of experience as a freelance paralegal, somebody who has some legal education, I'd just like to make the comment that if you close doors to openness and transparency, you are more likely to invite lawsuits than you are to mitigate them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Bob Thompson. What I'm seeing here is over the last 3 years, when Zoom was forced on us in our court systems, when we would go to complain about it and wouldn't get our due process by having Zoom. And then the government telling us we couldn't do anything but at our public meetings because they wouldn't let us go in because of all of the nonsense from COVID. Then all of a sudden, now we got the same thing here where we think this is a good thing to be represented then. And we want it. And then all of a sudden we got government telling us they don't want it. So to me, that's just like too much top down, too much rules being pushed down, which is tyranny. And I absolutely suggest that you guys reconsider that.
Previous board that said absolutely not, we are not shutting down Bonner County building to the public. We remained open through the whole thing. It was up to you whether or not we wanted to attend. And because of the emergency, a lot of people chose not to, which is the reason we brought that forward.
Right. And
We're not required by law to have it.
I'm not
I
saying
think
you
it's a
are.
Great thing, but because some people have brought up that, oh, you've got to do all your meetings over again because I couldn't hear. That throws a big liability and cost on the county. So even though I agree with everyone that commented, I still have a responsibility to best serve in every capacity for you. And if that's avoiding risk, you still have the ability to come in person. We're violating no open meeting laws. We're trying to eliminate lawsuits.
Yeah, well,
That's the
that's weak.
purpose.
That's weak.
And
As
so
far as I'm concerned, that's weak.
disclaimer side of it, and it's something we can revisit.
That's weak. We find this tool and we want to use a tool to the advantage of the people.
Right.
When the government used the tool to the advantage of the government. And now when the people think, hey, this is working out pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and let's find us a gymnasium to have these meetings in then, because this isn't going to cut it anymore. Because today, right from this man's mouth, this place is growing. It's a fact, and you just got to deal with it. So that's the deal with it. Let's get a bigger room and maybe shuttle buses for the infirmed.
That would be a budgetary burden, but it's certainly something that can always be addressed in the future. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Arns.
Arn, Jennifer Arn for the record. Okay, clearly the last board, which is why we have a new board, was plagued with issues of transparency. So anything you can do to help with the transparency should be gone for. I don't think there's any reason why there can't be a disclaimer like there is anywhere else. And so maybe one day you have a glitch and the meeting, the Zoom doesn't work very well. Oh, well, I think all of us have been in Zoom meetings before where that happens and we didn't sue anybody over that. And so to hide this,
There we go.
thinking that we might be sued because of an electronic glitch, put the disclaimer there. And then also if Zoom is taken away, will the meeting minutes be available for the public in a timely manner? Okay, so it's so important to engage all of Bonner County, and this is clearly one way of doing it. And I think the disclaimer could be an easy way, and anything you do that can at least improve the feelings of transparency is going to win you tons of brownie points from the citizens of Bonner County who elected you and are hoping that you are doing their bidding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Totally agree. I don't think anybody on this board disagrees with all the people that support it. But until Bill comes up with the language of the disclaimer, that's what we'll be waiting on, and then we will revisit it.
Can I ask for
As quickly
clarification?
and efficiently as possible.
Are you saying that we are going to do a disclaimer? Because I thought the motion was to discontinue. So can we clarify for the community? Because
For now, we will address the motion that's at hand. When that comes forward, we will reopen it, go through the proper process to bring that forward again. But we will go through the proper process.
so why not?
Yes, ma'am. Name for the record.
Jennifer Wood for the record. I'm a farmer and I have been blessed with snow right now that I can come into these meetings. Good or bad, I can be here, and I really appreciate that there's Zoom for come April. I hope by April I can dig into the dirt. I'll still be able to log in and participate, but it's not going to be as easy for me to come. Now, I will admit, I've been using the Zoom for quite some time, and there has been one incident that was very important to me that my Zoom wasn't working. And it was for a hearing that was super important, but I didn't sue you guys. And
We appreciate
I feel like what I had to say was super important that day. And I didn't get a chance to have my words heard, but I swallowed that and I dealt with it. I just want, for the record, to say that I support having Zoom and having to be able to have that voice all year round. You know, why go backwards? We've gone forward with having this opportunity with technology. And That's all. Thank you.
So if you'd like to redo your motion or, so Sherry, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Excellent. I have not heard everything that's happened there. It's been really poor audio. The little bit that I did pick up seems to indicate that the issue is audio on Zoom and afraid of being sued over it. Well, my solution is I'm going to ask you, has a decision been made that I missed? Because to me, if I have a question, I'm just going to ask the question. I'm not going to go to a lawyer and say, let's go into court and ask the question. Now, having said that, when it comes to transparency, I'm going to refer back to a statement that I heard some years ago about being lawful over legal. It is more lawful to be transparent and to work for the people than you're worried about the legalities of it. So how about we just go back to being lawful over legal? I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a blessing when both are the same. Susan.
Hi there, Susan Bowman for the record. I'm actually just, I kind of missed the first part of it too, but I just have one question. First of all, do you have a legal case? Has somebody brought a case against the county because of Zoom?
There is no case that it's a concern that was raised by commissioners that you might get sued in the future.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. There was a legal threat made by the member of Bonner County who is extremely litigious. And the record and history shows that individual's multiple lawsuits. I have no interest of amending my motion. My comments at the beginning of this meeting in regards to where I intend to focus the lawful expenditures of the board, which will be on such places as Lilybrook and public safety, remain. And I firmly believe this is in the best interest of the county. And I'm happy that I get to say on the record where I think the priority should be, and that is in public safety, and that is in road and bridge. And I'm happy that I have this opportunity to be able to put my vote where my mouth is.
Okay, so that's that. I didn't get to finish my comment. I just had that question. So thank you for answering the question. So I will say my comment now. And what I would say is that the people have spoken loud and clear on this issue, loud and clear. And if you vote to take Zoom away, you will be voting against the people. There is no way around that. And you can dodge all you want and say you're going to go here and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, but you're voting against the people. And that is tyranny. That's what that is. It's tyranny. So if you vote to take Zoom away, you're voting for tyranny and against the people. There's no way around that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trish.
Hey, Reg Crawford back again.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. Hi. Okay. Sorry. So it's okay. I have driven an hour and a half to the county for a 7-minute meeting,
Okay.
a 15-minute commissioner meeting.
Okay, Doug, you're on. What are you for?
I wasn't done.
Trish, that's who I called out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just-
My point is that the Zoom is really nice. It truly is an hour and a half drive for me to come to a county meeting. Can't always do it. And it's frustrating that Bradshaw and Luke, you both don't care about the people. All of today, the whole entire agenda, you just did what your agenda was and ignored the people. We elected you. We're the employers. It would be very nice if you cared about us instead of your own agenda. And it's very frustrating that you have no desire to be transparent, and the Zoom is very transparent. And I would love for legal to do a workshop. Could we do it with one of the commissioners in legal and make it so we could still have this possibility of having Zoom?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa.
For you before you hit 57.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in here on the whole Zoom debacle. I benefit strongly from Zoom, as do many other county residents. As much as y'all don't want to admit it, but we are still very much amongst this Chinese virus, and some of us have become very sick from this virus. I, for one, do not want to be crammed into a room like a pack of sardines and be exposed to God knows what. Number one. Number two, we all know that from Montana to Washington border, a lot of us folks can't get to those meetings when the weather is yucky. And number three, if you take Zoom away from us, which has been a blessing, and I do thank you for that, and I think the budget is ridiculous, it doesn't cost that much. You, in my opinion, will be discriminating against those that have medical conditions and that cannot attend these regular meetings. So I please, once again, ask you to reconsider your decision on taking Zoom away from county residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Reg.
Reg Crawford, Sandpoint, Idaho. I want to say again that the public has asked the county for years to improve the sound and it chose not to. It was never put on as an action item to improve Zoom, and it's a very inexpensive fix. Again, I have written proof that Lewis Marshall and Bill Wilson intentionally try to avoid being heard, and it's suspiciously close to the time that email was written that Zoom is now being removed. This is an embarrassing lack of trust in your IT department, because Zoom is successfully working for everyone else out there. It appears the only intent of this is to stifle transparency, and I hope you reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, it seems to me also that one of the primary problems that there is with Zoom is situations like you had today, where you close the meeting and you close it without voting, and therefore no opportunity for people to comment on your closing to go to executive session or pause to go to executive session. Either one should be voted on. But then, resuming the meeting becomes a problem to deal with the things that you dealt with in the executive session. But there is no reason why those things couldn't be put off for a week and appear on the agenda for the next week. And then you could vote on them in public on Zoom then. And I think, going away from Zoom is a serious mistake, backwards move for the county. And but you're going to do what you're going to do, and you've made it obvious for the entire session so far that there are those of you with a previous plan, and you're sticking to it. Good luck with that.
Thank you for the accusation. Any other comments?
I think that might be Maureen. Doug, is Maureen wanting to speak?
No, Maureen wasn't wanting to speak to you. We had some trouble logging in, and we got logged in 2 or 3 times. Never mind.
Thank you. So I would entertain, can I issue a motion that says if you feel that Bill can write a disclaimer on Zoom, that we hold off on discontinuing Zoom until we review a workshop with legal? Would you be agreeable to something like that?
Probably not, because we've been advised otherwise. I think we'll finish out this one, and then we will get with Bill and work on that and see what it looks like. If he can't make the language work, then we're gonna have to do something else. But I agree with everybody that voiced in. Any of you that ever want to take this seat, I welcome you to get in the race and take it. So until you sit here, you really don't understand what you're dealing with. But most of you do understand that we do want to be open. We do want to be viable. We also would like to have a team of commissioners that actually are a team and operates as a team. But it doesn't seem we're getting that. But at this time, I'll entertain that motion if you want to reissue that motion on it.
I will say my motion again, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to cease utilizing Zoom as a function of county meetings to protect us from liability as has been suggested by members of the public.
We have a second. I will step down from the chair and second that. Public comment? Trish, you have a comment or do you just leave your hand up?
No, I had a comment.
Okay,
Has Lewis Marshall or Bill Wilson made any,
that is
Have-
when we were doing this.
have they given you advice saying that you should discontinue legal or Zoom due to legal problems? Yes or
That
no?
is why the issue is up.
Well, no, but have you consulted with them? Have they weighed in on this?
Just
You're-
before we opened this meeting back up.
So for clarity, what was stated, it wasn't stated as a recommendation. It was, there's a concern related to it. It was presented by IAC over if the technology doesn't function properly, that you could have to reset it. So I asked that we consider putting a disclaimer over Zoom regarding that concern, so we could both address the concern and the needs of the public. And so that's where we left it with legal. So now the other two commissioners have put forth a motion to discontinue based on the concern raised regarding the risk. Does that explain it to you, Tricia?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just as a matter of clarification, that is not the same understanding that I received from the executive session from our council.
We should have done it in
So-
public then.
Well, we have rules and procedures that we follow because we're members of a republic. So, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate it. We've been in meetings for 4 hours and 20 minutes, and I would like to call the question so that we could move to a vote, Mr. Chairman, if I could get a second.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna close public comment. All in favor?
Roll call vote.
Oh, roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And the reason for is because there is a process that has to be followed. And in order for us to entertain the other option that needs to be put on the agenda approved by legal, just like everything else that gets put on here. So that's the reason. And when Bill brings that forward with the language is good, this is the disclaimer we can put on there. And at the end of the day, we have to make decisions that our attorney can defend. If he advises us, this is a decision that's yours, but I have to be able to defend it. So that puts a lot of responsibility on us because it puts him in a place where now he's gonna have to defend something that he's already advised us probably ain't gonna be defendable. You understand that angle of it?
Yeah. These meetings are gonna get longer and longer. I'm
Huh.
afraid. You know.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't aware. Did you adjourn the meeting yet?
No.
Oh,
So-
I just noted that we had a member that was absent.
So at 1:21:48, we will adjourn this meeting.
I would like